Hey, I recently sold this rental property and the guy who bought it wanted me to go through it and just tell him what I thought should be done. So I figured I'd just make a video out of it. Now, of course, if there's trash or anything like that, I'm not going to be talking about that because that's an obvious thing that you need to take care of. Okay, so outside here, of course, the trash I'm not going to talk about. This needs to be reattached. Okay, and then I would extend this again. That's the old piece. It ripped off here, probably because of someone mowing. Got to deal with that. Back here, we've got some paint chipping on the trim, and I would scrape it and paint it. If you want to wrap it in aluminum, you could, but I wouldn't do that. I would just paint it. Of course, if you wrap it in aluminum, then of course you remove all the maintenance, and that's always important. Railings going up are secure, so nothing to do there. Now, this particular product is waterproof, but it wasn't installed perfectly. And so what I would do is, it's wintertime right now, so I would reattach this just by nailing it in or gluing it in or whatever, and then springtime come back and lay tile over the whole place. Again, that's a maintenance thing. You may want to just paint it, that's fine too, but you will have to come back and paint again. Also, because there has been some damage as far as the coloration, I would repaint the top concrete. Again, I'm not going to talk about all the little stuff you got to pull off the walls and stuff like that. That should be an obvious. I'm not a big storm door person, but this has it, so I wouldn't take it off. Okay. Hopefully you can see some of this stuff. This front room, this is the living room, the floor has been scuffed up, probably from furniture or whatever. And what I would do, honestly, I would first put down a coat of dark stain and see how that looks. If they all seem to go away and it looks okay, I would either leave it, or if I really wanted to, I would then come back and put down my own top coat, clear coat. If you want to have a company come in and stain it, that's fine. They're going to sand it and stain it. You may be able to get the company just to come in and do what they call buffing it. You could hire a company probably to do what I just said. It's not that hard, but the problem is it's just one real room. This room could use some. I don't know if you can see this or not, but it's really just the living room. So rather than bringing in a company to do it, I would attempt to do it myself. When I say myself, I never mean me. I mean, I would hire my handyman to take care of it. I wouldn't hire a company special for it. Now, this particular property is considered lead-free because I have covered or removed all of the lead areas. If you see in this particular property, again, this is just lead-free. If you see that some of the coverings are coming off, they just need to be reattached. Okay, let's stay down on this floor. I'm not a big fan of someone else's thermostat, so I would change it to the one I have in all the rest of my properties. I'm sorry, we'll jump back here. It's an ugly chandelier, but I wouldn't change it. I would put shades on all the windows. We're missing one from the front. Sorry, I'm jumping around here a little bit. Of course, I would take off all the decorations that are on the walls. And let's see here. Okay. I would not change the lights. If I did change them, I would put in those LED lights that just kind of go in there like pot lights, recessed lights, but I wouldn't change them. As well as for this countertop. This countertop is in pretty good shape. And I wouldn't change it. It doesn't go with the cabinets. I painted the base cabinets recently, and it doesn't go aesthetically, but I'm not selling it, I'm renting it. So I would leave it. But if I was going to replace it, I would go back with Formica if I'm going to rent it. If you can find granite super cheap, you might consider doing that. It'll be probably less than $600 to put in granite here. I probably would consider a different microwave. Yes, I put that one in because it fit, but it is tiny. So I would consider looking into getting another microwave. Some of these cabinets need to be touched up, maybe caulked in here. Again, I wouldn't necessarily do it, but you could do that if you wanted to, and it wouldn't be a high cost item. This is a rental. Again, you could caulk there if you want to, but it's not going to stop someone from renting the place. The appliances all work, so I wouldn't replace any of them. This stove doesn't really go with the rest of the property. This hood doesn't go with the rest of the kitchen, but it works, so I wouldn't change it. Until you got pushback from tenants saying, well, geez, I wouldn't want to have a kitchen with a white stove and stainless steel everything else. This has a deck. I would paint the top rail, a nice hard paint that they have. I wouldn't replace it or anything. I wouldn't even paint the individual pieces. Maybe some of the stuff that's a little rough here, you know, where people hang on to it as they go down. But I wouldn't do much. And I would try to match the color that's on there. I think that's a gray. I don't even know what color I painted it. Back here we got a window that needs to be touched up. Yeah, we got a little bit of roughness and all, so we need to scrape it down and paint it. And then make sure that outlet is open, not closed up on itself. I replaced the main line that feeds the house electricity. It used to be down here. Guy did a good job. Cost me 3 times as much as he estimated, but he did a good job. Again, you got trim here, should be painted. I'm not really going to deal with paint. I would paint it. I don't always paint my properties in between tenants even. Here's a gap. I would try to figure out what's going on there. It's solid, so you may want to caulk it. Let us go downstairs. Oh, one other thing. The original refrigerator that was in here was not this one. It wasn't as deep as this one. And so we could get to the light switch, but now we can't. So I would actually again, I would handyman this, but you can get an electrician if you want to. Move that to here. This is a stud, and it's going to be a pain to put it in. You may actually have to change the molding that goes around it, or you could just cut it into it. But I would move it out to here because it can't be used there. They left this refrigerator in lieu. The old refrigerator died. They wanted to get their own refrigerator. I said, sure, go ahead. And this is what they got. They left it because they didn't pay their last month's rent. I took this plus the washer and dryer that they left, and I'm attempting to sell. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And I took all that in lieu of their last payment, last month's rent. But that's what I would do. I would move that light switch for sure. Need to replace the railing, of course. This is almost like it's extension cord, outdoor extension cord. So I would find out where, I mean, this has been here since the beginning of time as far as I'm concerned. But technically, you probably ought to find out where it goes and replace it with a regular wire. I don't know how hard that'll be. I almost think it runs the smoke detectors, because here's where that wire is and it's running into the smoke detector. So I think somebody, a handyman, decided that, it's just a smoke detector, we don't have to worry about it. This is paneling up against a wall that looks ugly. I would just leave it the way it is. These old knobs don't work. That's why these are in. I would not change them out. If I was selling it, I would change them out. I would cut them out and just change them out. But I'm not selling it, I'm just renting it, so I wouldn't change them out. I used to hang a sign on there, of course it's gone, that says do not use, and a sign over here that says use. I would put that on there for sure. Okay, basement bath. It's in pretty good shape. Much better shape than when the guy moved in, actually. I wouldn't change anything here. Everything seems to work. Toilet flushes. So I wouldn't worry about that. Clean up stuff, of course. Tighten up this faucet. If you want to respray frost this window, that's fine, but it's pretty opaque now. I wouldn't worry about it. This is a legal bedroom. Cost me a little bit more than I wanted to. I have two different floorings so that it's because of this step. I don't want people walking in and just boom, falling down. This I left in here. This is actually a bed frame to put a mattress on because it is so hard to get the bed frame and stuff down here. This is an access window. But this room wouldn't do anything to. I used to have a light in here that operated when the door was open. And I might try to reattach that, figure out what's going on. I think it was motion sensor. When you walked in, it came on. But I would probably try to reattach that. This needs just to be aesthetically looking better. This is the utility area. Water heater has a pan and a expansion tank. Furnace is new, water heater's new, air conditioner's new. All of it went up in this last year of being here. I would not put in washer and dryer. I would give them connections. Hi all. I forgot to say this while I was doing the tour, and so I'm going to insert that in the tour, but I'm probably not going to look at the screen that much simply because I'm driving. Anyway, I didn't make a comment about the utility sink in the basement. Forgot to do that. I would try to clean it up and see if it can be acceptable without replacing it. If it has to be replaced, I would replace it with the same thing. But if I was really trying to do it right now it's very difficult to put a washer and dryer, two separate units in there, because it has to go on each side of the sink, so it blocks the sink. So there's two things you can do. One, you could put a washer and dryer that sit on top of each other, a stackable one. They're usually smaller anyway. And you probably can get away with doing that. The other thing you could do is to put in one of those washer, I don't know what you call them. They're a little nook that is put into the wall. You could build the wall out around it, and you get your supply lines, your water lines come up through there, and your drain line goes out through there. Eliminate the sink, put that in, and then you may be able to put in washer and dryer set in front of that. Right now you don't have that possibility, but you might be able to do that if you eliminate the sink. A little bit of expense to that, so you got to kind of weigh it. And although I've decided not to put washers and dryers in my properties, this particular property, I know I said in the video I wouldn't put a washer and dryer in, but this particular property, it's so difficult to get the washer and dryer in that I really don't want the tenant to screw it up. So I would probably put a washer and dryer in there. And I'm thinking I probably would put a stackable one in and leave the utility sink the way it is. You'll have to reroute the exhaust for the dryer, but that's not a big deal. There you go. I would remove their Verizon stuff. Back here is electric. Here's the panel. And this door has been the bane of my existence, so to speak. I don't know if you can see light through it, but you can see light through it. So I would re-weather strip it and just make sure the bottom is very weather stripped, because that's been my biggest problem. Water will come in from the outside. And I'm not going to try to do that. It needs a new handle. But anyway, water will flow into the outside underneath the steps, and because it wouldn't flow out fast enough, it would then overflow the curb and come into the basement. So I have a sump pump out there. It's all wired up. It's outdoor wiring, and whenever it rains, the sump pump comes on, pumps it out. So I haven't had a problem since I did that. Okay, that's the basement. Let's go upstairs. Everything is solid. Little paint on the railing. Steps are fine. We go into the bathroom. In the closet, I'd put the panel up. Everything works in here pretty good. My wife doesn't like the hole in there because there used to be a radiator. I'm okay with it. It's been that way forever. This does sit far away from the wall, but it's solid. Some people are concerned that there's a problem. I wouldn't do anything with it. This vanity, recently painted it. I wouldn't do anything with it either. Maybe tighten up this if it needs to be tightened up, or can be. If it can't be tightened up, then replace it so it's solid. Paint the wall behind it. Maybe even put in a piece of vinyl backsplash back there. But pretty much, this is done. Okay. Into this bedroom. Got a little problem with the floor. Again, I would just touch it up with some. I would go through and try to just rag the scratches before I did anything major. So I put some stain on the rag, and let them go to it. Probably going to need to have some work done on this roof at some point. It's starting to peel up. I would replace all the door stops that are bent, because I don't like doors slamming into my walls. I think this is a bit overkill. Not sure how that happened, but I would just do one there. Okay, bedroom number 2. These are all small bedrooms. And again, like I said, I would just take a rag of dark stain, see what happens, see what it looks like. And then over here in number 3, smallest of all. I wouldn't do anything. So this one is a pretty clean situation, except for some normal wall repairs and normal painting, normal trash, stuff like that. I think it's all set. I wouldn't do much to this place. And that's it.